Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Showcase on Warframe. Today's item, the Green Man's Hero. It's the Soma. Now the reason why I call it the Green Man's Hero, it's more or less a Green Recruit's hero. The Soma has all the characteristics of LMG with very few of its drawbacks, which is a very appealing prospect, though a lot of people look at the damage if they're not experienced in the game and are immediately appalled by it. Of course, more experienced members of Warframe will realize this is actually quite a powerful weapon. The Soma is embodiment of many things, but if used correctly, it can exceed those things. But it is a bit of an older weapon. But anyway, it has high accuracy, 30% critical chance, 3x3 critical multiplier, which is pretty damn high, fire rate of 15.0, magazine of 100, loading speed 3 seconds, status of immediately 7, and 4 puncture, 5 slash, 1 impact. So that said, it isn't above and beyond the best weapon in the game, but for someone who's only a Master Rank 6, this is probably their best choice, and chances are they'll wind up with this said weapon. Hence why I give the title the Green Man's Hero. To find the Soma, you'll find it in the marketplace, go to blueprints, find it one of the rows, and for building it you'll need about 15,000 credits, 7 Morphics, about 850 plasmids, 1200 Rupco, and a good chunk of salvage. 8,000 or so, or some. But anyway, in terms of building it, we can see that actually the build requirement is incredibly cheap compared to a lot of other weapons in terms of what you get out of it. Where you pretty much take a Kakata, throw away the meme, and upgrade the weapon exponentially, and you get the Soma. Simply put. Except, you know, the Kakata is like unwieldy to many degrees. Now, visually, the weapon is an assault rifle, although it has a giant banana clip. Yes, the banana clip. A bit glaring, isn't it? A bit of an eyesore, if you will. But in terms of everything else, it looks like more of an assault rifle than it is LMG. It's a strange design, doesn't look like Orkin, Grenier, or Corpus to me, or Infestation. It's kind of like its own thing. Now, if the game was working correctly, the banana clip actually feeds through the weapon, but at the moment, I'm not sure if it's a bug in the game, it does not. In the other video, you'll see the banana clip throw through the weapon to the other end until it has to be reloaded, which was neat, but for some reason in my recording it did not work. But enough about the plain Soma. We're going to go on to the Soma Prime, the one that everyone wants. Alright. Now the reason why I chose to do the Soma today is because, well, I know the DE's buffing a lot of weapons, 100 of them, and I looked at the Soma, and the Soma gets the least change. The regular Soma gets a little bit more damage, and the Soma Prime just gets a mastery change. So that's why I figured, let's do this one so I don't have to make the video twice. Alright, so there's not a whole lot of changes. The critical remains the same. Fire rate remains the same. Magazine's 200 shots, however, so significantly different there. Same reload. Status now 10% over 7. And puncture slightly increased by 0.8. Slash is now 6.0 to 5, and impacts increased by 0.2. So damage department almost identical, but the major thing is the ammo. With the other one, the original one could have ammo issues. The Soma Prime fixes a lot of those issues. I don't say fixes, but improves them. That's a better word to say. Now, using them in the planes, the Soma, it may have recoil, but it's not very much. It's as much as you probably get on the Braton. And at range, you'll do just fine. And in close quarters, it's probably one of the better choices because it's with a very minimal recoil from the hip. You can easily just switch between targets and spray and pray an area very efficiently, but without much recourse. But yes, that's kind of the idea of this weapon. It's the Green Man's approach. To run in there, spray and pray, run out. And even some veterans still do this. But is it the best weapon to use for every situation? Oh no. No. But it's a good one to start out with. Even the Prime version gives all of enemies out there a run for their money. But then you have to wonder how to probably build it. Well, there's only one way really to build it, in my opinion. That's the critical build. It's specifically tailored to that build, and that's what we'll be showing coming up right about now. Alright. So, it may be my ultimate build, but it looks like a lot of other people's ultimate builds, because it's kind of like the only way you can build this. So, you can see my critical chance is 75%. Okay. The critical multiplier at colossal 8.6. Fire rate's a little bit down, thanks to a few mods, but no matter, magazine remains the same. Same about load speed. You can see in ribbon disposition, it's only 1 orb out of 5. It is a very common weapon to see among many people's hands, so it's no surprise its disposition's only 1 orb. Status is not really that great, still at 18%, which is something for an automatic weapon of this caliber. Damage-wise, you got 22 some bolt puncture, 64 point some slash, and then 6 impact. The impact is not there. This weapon's like very little impact. It's pretty bad against Corpus in very high level areas. Because, you know, shields. And of course I have more critical damage to bladed rounds, and aggro scope when I get headshots give more critical chance. But moving on from that, we can see I got my Riven mod here. It's as good as it's going to get for how many times I had to roll it. I get 40% more zoom, whoop-de-doo, and a 66.8% critical damage. That's major for a weapon like this, having that extra bit of critical damage. And of course it nerfs my fire rate ever so slightly, hence why it's 12.6 opposed to its 15. So yeah, that's why I got a lot more critical damage and a little bit less fire rate, but that's what I wanted. It was either critical chance or critical damage, and I wanted critical damage. So let's go on to the test. First test, we've got some Grineer here. Let's see, get some Lancers. About 9 or 10 of them. Level, versus turn on versus visibility, and I'm thinking level 70, 80. Yeah, 80. So yes. Level 80. Now, the Grineer have a lot of armor, and admittedly this thing has a bit of puncture, but it's not a huge amount. But still, even with that small amount, you can see it's just nothing but yellow and orange numbers. Once upon a time would have been red. But that's besides the fact. It still puts out a lot of damage, although with the Argon Scope, you really gotta get those headshots. But on the Grineer, that's a fairly easy thing to do. It's pretty well defined where their heads are in all units. Even if some of them are protected headshots. So yes, so fighting a Grineer for most accounts won't be a huge problem. Maybe a huge problem against more heavily armored enemies like heavy gunners, bombards, noxes, etc. So let's go against some Corpus. This is where the weapon may falter a little bit, as it's against Corpus is probably one of the worst factions given their shields. But it's besides the point. Left one Grineer in there, let's just get rid of him. And I want 20 Moa. Why? Because why not? And on second thought, let's get some high-level Moas, just to drive the point home. I don't think level 80 is probably a little too low, so let's go 90, no, 95. So 95 is when I wouldn't take it any further with Moas. If those Corpus tags would be a little different, but if it's Moas, you can see that it's just hitting that mark where I wouldn't want to use it elsewhere. But, as you see, it's not the best against Corpus. It does acceptable. But it's similar in terms of Grineer, but not at the same time. But let me talk about the ammo about the weapon as well. Now with the Soma Prime, you get 800 shots in your reserve, so with your magazine that's a total of 1,000. Now there is a problem with the Soma. The regular one had a more prominent problem with its ammo, but the Soma does chew through a lot of ammo. You can offset it by having ammunition if you wish, but that's at the cost of the damage. Although for me, rifle ammo is common enough, so it's not the biggest issue. Common enough to refill it. But anyway, let's move on to the Infestation here, which the Soma is geared to fight them. Now, we're not going to go with level 95, we're going to jack it much up higher, go to a level 110. That should more do it. So let's, you see here at level 110, it's not instant kill, but you can easily just lay on the DPS, which this weapon's good at. I didn't mention that earlier, but it's kind of self-explanatory for LMG. And for a light machine gun, light is definitely how I would describe this. So it's pretty much LMG with all the benefits of an assault rifle, because it's not a huge reload time. At 3 seconds is a bit of a hurdle, but it's not gigantic for 200 bullets for the damage it outputs. But nonetheless, you can see for against Infestation, it suits them rather well. You can easily run and gun, and that's the big thing about the Infestation. Always need to run and gun. Can't sit still. If they bite you, you die. In fact, nowadays even if you do move, you still die at this kind of level, since they added more projectile attacks, but no matter. Last question, can it kill a level 150 Corrupted Heavy Gunner? Well, it can. Why would you use this weapon? It's bad. It's bad for this job. You probably can take him out with the slash procs you cause infrequently, but you're going through a whole magazine and not really doing anything. In this scenario, I'd already be long dead. So yeah, not that great for it. Now let's move on to the pros and cons of the Soma. Now there's going to be quite a few on both ends here. On the pros, it is a weapon with incredible DPS. Easily said. It has probably one of the strongest critical builds of all the primary weapons in the game, at least to date. Alright. Next, it is also easy to control. The very low to moderate recoil makes it quite easy to use at long range. And it has a gigantic magazine on top of that, all that. That said, let's move on to Collins. With that giant magazine means it's an ammo guzzler. It goes through ammo pretty quickly, but not so much you can't restore it, but still a problem nonetheless. Its low impact damage is a real problem for facing the Corpus. It's a bit of a glaring issue. Against MOAs it did okay, but against techs, different story. But anyway, also this weapon is bolted if I didn't mention it earlier. So if you wanted to get it, you have to trade for it. And until it becomes unbolted at some point in the future, which it probably will. And that does it for the pros and cons, I believe. Anyway, going into score, which I'm only scoring the Soma Prime for obvious reasons. Damage, I'm going to give a solid 8 out of 10. This weapon puts out plenty of damage, and DPS to boot. Accuracy, 8 out of 10 as well. Despite having a bit of recoil, it's not really a problem at all as I see. I have no problem hitting targets at a good distance. Design, 8 out of 10. This weapon with very few drawbacks, and the ones that are there aren't so much of a trouble to overcome. It gives you a lot more than it takes. Ammo's where it falters, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. Well, for Soma Prime anyway. The regular Soma will be worse, but yes, you do only have 1,000 shots, and you do go through them pretty quickly, but it can still be restored with moderate means. Miscellaneous, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Because it's an excellent weapon, but is it the best weapon? No. But it's pretty much guaranteed all green members of Warframe, all green players, will probably put their hands in the Soma. Probably not the Soma Prime, but definitely the regular Soma. That said, in total, the Soma Prime gets 35 out of 50. It's an excellent weapon. No matter what everyone says and how probably tired they are of seeing it, it is still an excellent weapon. And the changes to it aren't really going to do a whole lot in terms of that title. Going on to Judgment, or at least in my opinion, the weapon is definitely worth it. The Soma Prime version anyway. Again, there might be some fans of the regular Soma, but the Soma Prime is worth it. It's a weapon that'll take you through the majority of the game, no problem. Maybe for some of the absolute end game, the raids, the idling hunts, it probably will falter there. Facing enemies are greater than level 100, it will falter. But that's at the very last 5 to 10% of the game. Otherwise, it's excellent. But that's Showcase for today. I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you guys next time. Take care out there.